Hi, I'm Michael, and welcome to the January Workout for Training Partners. This month we're going to focus on the concept of simplicity. And you may ask yourself, why in the world are we thinking about simplicity? And really the concept goes back to the book that I just wrote with my business partner and registered dietitian Greg Hottinger. It's called Coach Yourself Thin, and one of the concepts that we talk about in the book is behaviorally what you can do to lose weight. But when it came to the exercise and the nutrition portion of the book, we thought that overall in the diet and fitness industry, it's been way overcomplicated. People, experts in our field, the diet and fitness field, have overcomplicated what it means to eat healthily and to exercise effectively. So Greg and I went out of our way to simplify what we put in the book. And when it comes to exercise, what I wanted to highlight for strength training basically comes down to 4 moves. So when it comes to strength training, I wanted to break the workout down, any workout down to 4 moves. And I picked 4 action words to describe those moves because these are very easy to remember and they really depict what these moves look like in real life. And they are push, pull, stabilize, and move. Now, first, what I want to do is show you or illustrate for you what these moves might look like in real life. And then we're going to give you a workout which will show you 2 exercises for each type of move. And then within that, a beginner and an advanced way of doing those 2 exercises. So first of all, real life. What does a push move look like in real life? This might be pushing a lawnmower. It might be pushing a door open when you approach it and have to push through a door. Basically, it's any time you push a resistance away from your body or you push your body up from a stationary object. Another example would be pushing yourself up off the floor. The floor doesn't move, but you do as you push yourself up from the floor. A pull action is anytime you pull resistance toward you, or you pull you hold a stationary object and you pull your body to that stationary object. Examples would be reaching into a car trunk and pulling out your groceries, or pulling yourself up to, not the dinner table, but your desk. Dinner table counts too. Stabilize actions are anything that requires you to stabilize your trunk, stabilize your core being your trunk and your hips. Anytime you encounter an outside force, or perhaps you lose your balance. One example would be reaching into a very, very high shelf and picking up something from that shelf, say a casserole dish, and you pull it off the shelf. When that comes off the shelf, it weighs quite a bit. And to prevent the dish from falling and prevent you from just slumping, your core has to be stable against that outside object. Another example is, I mentioned losing your balance. If you were to slip on the ice, when you slip, what stabilizes you and keeps you from falling down in large part is your core, again, your trunk and your hips.
Okay.
The last kind of action that I want to discuss is called move. And these actions are anything that has to do with locomotion. One example will be walking up the stairs. Another example would be getting up from a chair. Okay, that's how the 4 actions look in real life. Again, that's push, pull, stabilize, and move. And now we're going to take all 4 of those common actions and put them into a workout, giving you 2 exercises for each of those actions, and then a beginner and an advanced way of doing each of those exercises. That's coming up next. And a reminder about repetitions. We're going to use body weight for some of these exercises, and we're going to use resistance, specifically in this case, an exercise tube in some of the exercises. If you're using body weight, it's best if you start with a low number of repetitions, perhaps as low as 5 to 10. And as you get stronger, you build up toward 15, 20, maybe even 25 repetitions per set. If you're using resistance like the exercise tube, it's best to start with a lighter resistance that allows you to, not comfortably, but with good form, complete 15 to 20 repetitions and then increase your resistance as you get stronger. Again, the determining factor in all cases is if you can maintain good form. Okay, the first of the four actions is push, and the first of the exercises within push will be push-ups. The beginner version of push-ups goes from your knees. So knees and hands on the floor. Try to form a straight line between the knees, the hips, and the shoulders. Make sure that your shoulders are not up by your ears. They're anchored, which means pull the shoulder blades down and in. And then your hands are just about shoulder width apart, perhaps slightly wider than that. And you lower yourself down into your push-up position. You don't have to touch nose to floor, whatever depth, even if it's here, that you feel like is appropriate for you, is what you use. And the advanced move for the push-ups is simply taking it up onto the toes, really just a regular push-up. So now you have toes on the floor and you form a straight line from toes through the knees, through the hips, and to the shoulders. Same cues, keep the shoulders out of the ears, so anchor them, and keep the hands about shoulder width apart, maybe slightly wider, and drop yourself into the push-up position. Again, the depth is up to you. Just make sure that the hips are not stuck up in the air or down, sagging down toward the floor. Everything's in a nice straight line. And exercise number 2 under the push action will be a press with an exercise tube. You can also do this with a cable. Anything where you can stand and press. Bring your hand in from the outside of the handle that you're using. And for the basic move, we're going to keep both feet on the floor. Stand up nice and tall, keep your chest open. Again, shoulders are anchored, which means they're not shrugged up here. They're down and in with the shoulder blades. Start the hand just above the hip, below the chest and above the belt, and press straight forward to a straight arm. And that's it. And the advanced move is to go up on one foot. All this does is create more need for stability. So you're standing on the opposite foot to the arm that you're working. One other note is you can step further forward and increase your resistance. And that's your advanced push. Okay, the first exercise for the pull action is going to be a one-arm row, again using the exercise tube. You could use a cable machine if you have access to one. Of course, they have access to one as training partners.
Okay, just start all over and keep going.
If you're training partners, I guess they could
You can't use our cable.
I guess they could do it at home. If Charlene's not hogging the cable.
That's right. Okay, go, Smarty.
The first exercise for the pull action is a one-arm row. The beginner move will be with both feet on the floor. Start with the arm extended. Same shoulder cue that I've given you for the other exercises, which means the chest is open and the shoulders are anchored, shoulder blades down and in, and then pull. Same spot that you started the one-arm press, which is above the belt but below the chest. Pull the arm straight back, and that's the one-arm row. The advanced move, just take it to the 1 foot stance, balance on 1 foot, opposite to the arm that you're working, and it's the same action. Take it back further if you need more resistance. And that's the one-arm row. And now for the second exercise in the pull action. This one requires a little explanation. It's not a classic pull. It's not a row or a chin-up. It has to do with the postural muscles of the upper back. And if you go back to my example earlier about getting the groceries out of the trunk of the car, or sitting at your desk, the postural muscles of the upper back are what really pulls us open through our chest, keeps us from being round-shouldered, and really keeps us from injuring our back in lots of cases or having back pain. So that's what we're working, is the upper back. And to do this, you want to lay forward over a stability ball, putting the ball in the chest versus, for example, putting it down near the hips. If you put it in the hip area, and you try to do what I'm going to show you, you're going to be focused on the lower back. Instead, I want you to take the ball out underneath the chest, effectively taking the lower part of the back out of the movement. Fold your arms in front and just do a little thoracic extension thoracic meaning the upper part of your back, below your neck and above your, what we call the lower back. That's where you're focused, those postural muscles. Keep your nose looking right down at the floor, not up here. And that's your move. That's the beginner thoracic extension. And for the advanced thoracic extension, pretty much the same move, except now we take the arms above the head. We hold a pretty lightweight exercise tube, underhand, above the head. Again, keep the nose down so you're looking at the floor. And you do the thoracic extension that I showed you in the beginner move, which is simply this. But you add, going from here with the hands to a nice little Y. So up and out with the hands. Thoracic extension with the back and pulling nice and wide with the hands. Now for the first of the stabilized moves, this is a hip bridge. You're simply going to lie back onto your back, your feet flat on the floor, your knees up, and you're going to take your hands off the floor just to make it a little bit harder, and you're going to press up until the hips are in line with the shoulders and the knees. As straight a line as you can form. If you're a little below that, that's fine. Don't strain yourself to get up there, but come as high with your hips as you can. Again, keeping the arms folded across the chest and off the floor. Return to the floor and come back up into your move. That's your repetitions for 2-foot hip bridge. To make it more advanced, take one leg, hold it up in the air, and press with just one leg up into that hip bridge. Keep the hips as level as you can. You may notice when you do this, if you're not quite strong enough to do it properly, that one hip, the hip of the leg that's not on the floor may drop and you'll be sideways. That hip will hit first when you come back down. So ideally, when you do this, you come up, you stay nice and level, and when you come back down and touch the floor, you'll feel both hips touch at the same time. That shows you you're doing it correctly. And for stabilized action number 2, we have a torso twist with a wood chop. First version has both feet on the floor. The wood chop action starts above the shoulders on one side. And here you can see my left shoulder is to the front. That's one of the keys, is when you do the wood chop, it's not really crucial how high you are here or how low you are on this side, but that you turn as much as you can the opposite shoulder to the front. So again, I start with my left shoulder facing front. I wood chop down until the right shoulder is facing front. And that's your basic wood chop move. And you can do this 2 ways. I can look straight ahead and watch the movement in a mirror, and that's a little bit easier than following the ball, which challenges your balance just that little bit more. That's 2-foot wood chop. To take it up to an advanced level, go to 1 foot and do the same thing. So you're going to start the ball above your shoulders on one side, and you're going to turn and wood chop down below the hip on the other side. And that's the advanced wood chop. And finally, for the move action, exercise number 1, a step or lunge matrix. For the beginners, it'll be a step matrix. And this matrix comes from a running coach named Jay Johnson, lives in Boulder, Colorado. So thanks to Coach Johnson for putting this together. The design here is simply to take your body through different planes of movement, the front, side, and then the rear. Those aren't the technical terms, but those are the different ways that you're moving your body. So instead of just forward and back, you actually move your body in several different ways. And first is moving forward. I'm going to show the beginner first. So it would simply be a step forward and back. Forward and back. And then you would do a side step, again, out and back. Just a little bit of weight on that leg and come back. A little bit of weight on that stepping leg and come back. That's a side step. Next would be stepping 45 degrees to the rear. You're just going to take the foot that you're stepping on and make sure it's 45 degrees to the back and bring it back together. Step, a little bit of weight on it, and back. Step, and back. This knee, you'll notice, continues to face forward. It doesn't try to go with you. That's very important. Where the toes point, the knee points. Same with this leg. So step and back together. Next is stepping behind. So you're just going to step back. Again, a little bit of weight on that stepping leg and together. Step and together. And then we're going to go back to the front. Stepping forward, you're going to step and then you're going to twist. Together. Step. Just twist the shoulders. So keep your hands here if it helps you, because that centers your hands right in the middle of your chest. And that keeps you from turning your hands more than turning your shoulders. Again, step, twist, together. Step, twist, and together. Now, you can take this up to the advanced level by actually doing a lunge in each of those planes. So the first one would be stepping forward, and it looks like this. Oops. Oops. Okay. So you take it up to an advanced level by lunging instead of stepping, and that looks like this. You're moving forward. That's your forward lunge and together. The side lunge looks like this. You can bring the hands to the front, just keep them out of the way. Step out. Put most of the weight here. This leg's completely straight. Your hips are back. It's like a mini squat. So the weight is on the whole foot, not just the toes. And that's your side lunge. Bring it together. Step, straighten, bring it together. That's your side lunge. 45 degrees back. Just here. Straighten this leg. Again, the knee follows where the toes are going. So does this knee. Bring it back together. Step, straighten, together. Back looks like this. And then forward with a twist will look like this. That's the advanced lunge matrix.
Okay.
And the last of the moves is the forward step with a twist. So you step forward and torso twist to that side. If you can keep the hands in the center of the chest, it'll keep them out of the way. Twist and back. Step, lunge, twist, and back. And that's the advanced lunge matrix.
Go.
Exercise number 2 under the move.
Move. Okay, go. And take about a half step back. You're getting too close to me. You're in my space, buddy. All right, go.
Exercise number 2 for move is a side step squat. And the beginning movement here is just a very small range of motion. So step a little bit wider than hip width apart, and same as with the lunge matrix. One of the best things to do with your hands is just keep them in the center of the chest to keep them out of your way, and it also can help you keep your balance. And you're just going to do a little bit of a squat, like you're sitting on a high stool. You're sitting back, getting the weight on the heels, not getting up on the toes, which might be the tendency because we are going to travel here. So once again, start with the feet together, a reasonable step apart, a nice little squat like onto a high stool, and then bring the trailing leg up to meet the other leg. Step, squat, and together, and you're just going to travel like so. Step, squat, and together. That's the beginning movement. Now for you advanced folks, all we're going to do is take the movement a little bit deeper. You can also get rid of the hands. If you put them beside you, it makes it a little bit harder to balance. You're going to take it nice and deep, and you're going to come together. Wide, deeper, together. Wide, deep squat, almost parallel, right at parallel, thighs with the floor, thighs are parallel, rear end is down, heels are down, and together. And that's the advanced step lunge, step squat.